if you're looking for an attaboy, Decentraland's not where you want to be. But if you're really starving for that attention, just go read Sivey and go through the old videos and learn about him. And then you'll probably know why he puts on this facade or persona after all the old school Bitcoin cunts blackballed him and wouldn't talk to him and wouldn't listen to him. So now he gets to dress up in, $500,000 worth of clothes and get attention that way. Instead of saying, not your keys, not your crypto, he just flexes a couple of Rolexes on a wrist, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, I better pay attention to him. So he busted through the cock blocking with outrage marketing. So if you expect to have Richard come in and give you an attaboy, it's definitely not the place for you, Tony.
I think the reason for Richard not being involved is fairly obvious, and I think it has to do with not necessarily the SEC investigation, but the more that he coordinates with people, the more it seems like we are one big conglomerate. If people do things on their own, siloed, then it's people taking it upon themselves, and there's less risk. Like if someone was trying to prosecute Richard and say that he's coordinating something with people and paying people off, it's going to be a lot easier to make that argument if he's constantly in communication with all these people, giving them props and encouraging them to make all these shilling videos and stuff. It's better for him to just keep an arm's length away, let people do their thing. He does his thing, all separate, can't be tied together. I think that's the real reason behind it.
Yeah, I think the key word here is accountability. So you are accountable for your own actions, all right? If you look at let me say the Bitcoin design principles, right? It's decentralization and it's permissionless. You don't need nobody's permission, bro. It's trustless. I know you guys talk about the OA address and all the stuff, but the code is still trustless, right? So you push that button, you're accountable. If you want to pump your back, go out there and recruit people, go out there and talk to people, tell them about financial freedom, tell them about what we're doing, get your own stream, do the little you can do. So, I mean, that's how I see it. I don't need no one's permission. I don't need Richard's. He's already done the code. It's immutable. He can't do anything to it anymore. So it's left for us to do what we want to do to set our own financial freedom. Well, yeah, there could be risk in it. Well, anyway, in order for you to get rich, you have to freaking take risk. So that's how I see it. The key word is accountability. You're accountable for your own actions. So go out there and do what you want him to do and try to get the results that you want him to get. He's not a CEO. There's no organization. Even the word Hexagon is fictitious. You understand? There's no such thing out there that is registered as Hexagons. We just call ourselves as friends and brothers. All right. So let's just treat ourselves as such and try to still educate ourselves more about what we're doing so you can be able to make better decisions. This is for me, it's personal, it's for me, for my generations to generations. And that's what I'm doing. I don't need nobody because guess what? If I make my money tomorrow, I'm not sharing it with any of you. That's just basic. You understand? If you make your money tomorrow, I don't think you're going to share it with me. If you lose your money tomorrow, bro, you're going to be crying alone too. Just like how I'm going to be crying alone. So you got to look at it, So what I would say is deep dive into what you're doing. Be comfortable. And I'll tell you one thing. I consider myself wealthy, very wealthy. But I'll tell you one of the reasons why. Because I listened, I learned from Richard Hart, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm not wrecked. I didn't go into BlockFi. I didn't go into FTX. I didn't go into Celsius. I saved my money. There's a lot of money I saved. So that education enough makes me feel so happy even during a bear market, right? You can call it hopium, you can call it whatever. But dude, I saved a lot of money not getting into any of those shit just because of Richard Hart. So I'm forever grateful. You guys can call him. People tell me, oh, I look at Richard Hart as a god. I look at him, well, you can say whatever, you understand? But I will tell you the truth. I'm a very honest person and I try to see and say the truth in everything I do. He has done a lot for the community. He has done a lot for people. He's an honest guy. He's a great guy. I don't know how to put it anymore. He is just, a wonderful person. He has changed a lot of people's life. I haven't even finished reading the book or the audiobook, but I hear what he says, But, I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at. Be accountable for your own actions. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
All right. Let's go to Humble D.
Tony, I wanted to thank you. I know that you spend a lot of time in here from time to time, and sometimes you ask the same questions, but it actually helps those that are listening. So I do appreciate, even when you repeat these questions, because there's a lot of people in here that are getting a lot of good information from them. And secondly, I like to think of Hex as an experiment, right? A true decentralized experiment. And I'm not talking like Bitcoin experiment. I'm talking about Hex and a community experiment. So I have never seen another community out there that has taken it upon themselves to not only like build a decentralized, or build a community and do everything for themselves, not like, let's just say like Richard isn't doing this, the community is. So whenever there's been a problem with Hex, Richard isn't the one that fixes it, right? It's the community, right? The advertising that's done is been by the community. People that own Hex are paying for billboards, post-its, or postcards, onboarding people they know, the people that they meet, putting on conventions, right? The yearly conventions, PulseCon, HexCon. That's the community that's doing that, right? And it's coming out of our own pockets that are doing this because we know how good this is. We know how much it can save people from from what's going on out there, right? But then there's problems such as gas, right? Like we have Pulse that's gonna solve a problem with the gas that we have to pay on the Ethereum network. Well, there's community members that said, you know what? Let's build a pool called Maximus, and therefore only one person has to pay that gas when it ends, right? And so they solved that, and so they created another thing built upon Hex, right? We had people go, hey, we don't have anybody that can leverage, right? We don't have a bank that can loan. We can loan people money against their Hex, right? So boom, what happened? We had fiat. Somebody else built that. They're like, well, nobody can leverage Hex on Pulse Chain or on Ethereum. So let's build Famous. Now we got a decentralized Famous, right? This is community members that are doing this, and every time that something happens, the community steps up, and that is the experiment I'm talking about. Is that this truly is a decentralized, complete project or product, that this experiment is proving that how strong the community is can really take this a long way, and it's growing naturally, right? This isn't done by Richard growing this. I mean, he's helping, but he's not shilling Hex. If you go to his talks, he's not really shilling Hex. He tries to from time to time, but they don't want him to. We are, right? So it's people like us that are going into different rooms. We're going to Facebook, we got YouTube, we've got Twitter, we've got everything, and it's all being done by the community. And so that is what makes this experiment so great. And going forward, it's amazing. And the fact that this is the community that you can come into a space and see how active everybody is. When you go on Twitter, the ones that have the most engagement are the ones that engage the Hex community, right? During this bear market. It says a lot. So this experiment is continuing. And now the experiment's, dealing with the SEC, right? But guess what? The community put together a fund to pay a law firm to write an opinion to go give to the SEC ahead of time. They're taking it to the SEC, right? So that which RG3 was talking about, that's the community. RG3 is one of the people that are like put together trying to, handle this. But we as a community are supporting it and giving it the money out of our own pockets, not Richard, right? Because we're protecting our investment because we know how good it is. So this experiment that I'm talking about is an amazing experiment, and it's not something that Bitcoin went through. Bitcoin had its own thing that it went through. This is Hex, true DeFi. One of the first things, just like Uniswap, of true DeFi that's still standing, that's still going, that's still, like King Daniel said, is code. It's a contract, right? Code is law, like Uvex said. Boom. So I just want to touch on that is an important part of Hex, and I think you recognize that. So,
Hey guys, to add to what Humble just said, we shouldn't forget the free stuff we've got so far. Talking about Hedron, Icosa, even the PP is still free. The freaking Pulse Dodge is part of the community. What else? The Weight Token, Texas CC, they're all out there. I mean, you can't beat that. That's how strong our community is. I mean, you cannot. I don't think you're gonna see that anywhere. You guys are in the right direction, bro.
There's even Pulse socks for NFTs. It's unbelievable the thousands and thousands of dollars we've been given. If you want to call it dollars or hex, you sell it all for hex, but we've been given millions of hex by these people who are building around and in and through hex, Pulse, and Pulsex. It's fucking amazing.
On Instagram and expensive things that he's buying during the bear market while other people are like really struggling. Has that helped or hurt the cause? Like, do y'all feel a certain type of way, especially like, where the money's coming from? Not saying that he's taking it, but just saying like, how does that help for, people wanting to get in, or I don't know, like.
It's
I think. Go ahead.
it's helped by hurting. So the pain, the fact that you're talking about it says that it's working in a way, and what it's doing is bringing attention. And when people like you who are inquisitive, who are seeing this, you look at it and you say, man, this is kind of cringy, this guy doing this stuff, people are hurting right now. Is that what we really want to see? But here you are asking intelligent questions inside of a Hex chat room, so obviously some of this stuff is drawing your attention. And what we all know, the people that have been around since the beginning of the project, we all know how solid it is and how solid the OA is. So when we do have people that actually come that are intelligent, that start to take a look and start to be inquisitive, then we know that they're going to see the light too, because this is the best crypto that's in the space. Period. End of story. I know it is, because I've been sitting here for 3 years studying. I know Bitcoin. I know Bitcoin backwards and forwards. And guess what? I know Hex is better than Bitcoin. Problem is, most Bitcoiners don't know Hex. See, I know both. They don't. And once they find out, once they start to study, once they start to understand what it is, they come to the same conclusion that we all have, is that Richard built a better Bitcoin, and now he's going to be able to change crypto with it. Now, let me go back to your question about the originating address, because you asked two questions. The originating address has always been a sticky kind of sore spot, especially with everybody in crypto, because any type of centralization looks bad. It's just the name of the game. Centralization is a bad word in crypto. However, centralization of code is bad. Centralization of ownership, not necessarily bad. Now, why say that? Well, anything good in the world that's making good money is centralized to the max. Look at Amazon, look at SpaceX, look at Google. All these things, very small amounts of people or investment wallets hold the majority shares of that. Now, that's only if you think Richard Hart runs the OA, owns the OA, has the OA in his control. We don't know what the OA is, and there's good reason for that. And that's part of the Howey test. That's not knowing what the OA is doing and why the OA exists. Now, from what I've seen over the last 3 years from the beginning of the project, the OA has always been something that we've always looked at very closely. And the only times that we've seen the OA move in a significant way is to assist the project, to assist the ecosystem, to assist those people staking. So when I saw it finally do that, when I saw that when it finally moved for the first time, when it finally did something, it actually did something to provide value in the ecosystem and value to those people who had staked. So that means that good behavior in the system was being rewarded by the OA itself. Now, let me explain what the other thing that the OA does that a lot of people don't know or understand or realize, that it's really the secret sauce in all of this project. It's called a De Beers model. And if you understand what the De Beers model is, De Beers is a big diamond company. They own a bunch of diamonds. They own so much diamonds that if they were to put all their diamonds on the market, diamonds would be worth a shit. But because they hold so many of them, because they keep so many of them locked away and only let a certain amount of them out every year, diamonds hold value. Well, what this does, what the OA has done, has put, like you said, close to 85 or 90% of the circulating supply. That's the key element. The circulating supply of Hex is in that OA. And guess what that circulating supply doesn't do? It doesn't stake. Therefore, the staking pool can only get to a certain percentage of size. Put that in perspective for you. Right now, I think we have somewhere around 9.5 to 10% of the Hex is staked, and it's probably a little less than that, of the circulating supply of Hex is staked. Literally. So that means that every T-share is making about 6.5 Hex per day from staking. Very high payouts right now, and they've been getting higher. Now, the other circulating supply is probably about another 7 or 8% out there somewhere that's not in the OA. So if you've got 85 to 90% and somewhere around 5 or 6, 7% staked and 5 or 6, 7% left over to stake, those are all roundabout numbers, but that's about where we're at. Imagine if all Hex finally staked that's in circulating supply that isn't in the OA, you would only have about 18, maybe 20% of the Hex stake total ever. That means that the payouts, the 3.69% of inflation every single year, is only going to be able to go down to a certain percentage point because the OA holds the massive amount of the circulating supply, meaning that the yield or the rewards generated are always going to stay at a very, very high percentage rate, very high. So imagine being able to draw, like right now we're doing like an average of 38% APY, right? Now imagine if you were able to do 19% automatic. That blows everything on the planet out of the water when it comes to yield generation. If you can make 18, 19, 20% automatic, and that's everything state. Imagine the insurance companies that can use that. Imagine the investment houses that can use that for generating yield for their clients immutably on a contract, not any human beings handling it. That is the secret sauce of Hex, is the OA. It's not the weak point, it's the strong point. And that's hard to teach people to understand. I know it, and that's the reason why I'm so confident in Hex, because I know what the OA is doing, and I know what it's there for. It's just getting this out there and teaching people what it is.
I got you. And just to clarify, you kind of use that word again, yield. And with that, it kind of goes back to the whole circle kind of being used as a security. But again, at the end of the day, and I don't want to go around in circles, but at the end of the day, those are just a few of the questions I have, because now, because it's such a large supply and one person controls it, that does take a large amount of trust. And I also said that to the Bitcoin guys. That also takes a large amount of trust, because whoever created it, Bitcoin back in the day, and there's that wallet is still active. Well, I won't say active. It has moved a little bit or whatever. That still takes. They said, oh, it's guaranteed, but that still takes a large amount of trust. Hopefully, whoever they create Bitcoin, that person comes out, that can also one day move, which can, if they decide to take money out, that can also somehow affect the markets in a large way. So.
Hey Tony, can I just touch on another way to look at your question?
Yeah, sure.
Regarding this is just a whole different perspective, but regarding the OA and the ownership of it, a lot of people are, they have different point of views. Most retail, in crypto won't even know what that is or what that means. So as far as retail goes, it doesn't matter, other than the fact that they're listening to YouTubers that do know what it is. But financial institutions look at the risk. And so those that want financial institutions into Hex worry about it, because they have take more of a risk on, risk off look at it, and to them it's a risk.
You won't get that with like SafeMoon and shit. If you ever want to wonder where Richard is, where are your SafeMoon copy paste founders and their magical code? They're not out here. It's where's that community?
I'm sorry. You said what community? I'm sorry.
Your SafeMoon community. Where are those guys? Are you advertising for free for SafeMoon to promote it?
Am I advertising for SafeMoon to promote it?
Yeah,
I'm
are you
sorry.
like putting SafeMoon on your Ferrari? Are you sponsoring soccer teams? Are you putting it on paragliding kites? Do you hand out stickers with SafeMoon on it and stuff like that? Do you have thousands and thousands of active people that get together several times a year?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool, because I never really noticed. I've seen SafeMoon since its inception, and all I've ever seen was poor plebs get wrecked with it. So I'm just glad you're here, because the more you hear this, the better the chance is that you'll drop that nasty shit and end up in the Hex and Pulse community.
All right. So let me make something clear to you. All right, directly. First of all, we are the biggest community in DeFi on Twitter, for one. Okay. As far as especially dealing with any type of altcoins or anything else like that, we are the biggest community. You don't follow anyone, that's why you don't see it. It won't come up in if you don't follow, Bitcoin, you don't follow anybody in SafeMoon or whatever, you won't see those rooms. Okay. SafeMoon also has one of the biggest signs down. SafeMoon also has one of the biggest signs down in Times Square. So yes, they do a lot of advertising. They're on highways, on the side of the highways, signs across America. people put out freaking stickers, and I even give stuff away, stickers and stuff like that. So and guess what? It's not just SafeMoon. It's the Grove community. That's SafeMoon. It's the X Studios. That's SafeMoon. We're more than just one community. We're one big community, but we are broke up into a lot of different things because people are invested in those things that fall underneath our umbrella. But I appreciate your question or your criticism or insult.
Yeah, either way, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I just
It
never
is
noticed you
amazing.
guys.
Yeah, you don't follow anyone, so hopefully you'll maybe go follow the official account, and you'll see and follow some people that's making comments and stuff like that. You'll see thousands of comments. I mean, we got 1.3 million people on here, bro. 1.3 million people on Twitter.
Yeah, so Tony, I try not to shit on other people's project or talk crap about other people's project, but I'm familiar with SafeMoon. I mean, the only issue I have with that is because number one, it's not a true DeFi, it's not a true cryptocurrency. And just listen to me. The reason why I say that is because you guys have expectation from the works of others. SafeMoon has an entity, a company, a registered entity that works for you guys. You guys have a CEO. You guys have people that do things that get paid to do what they do. So that's not true decentralization. So it's best for me to just go back to traditional finance, then do something that pretends that they're 100% crypto, which they are not. That's the only issue I have. I'll tell you that. I'll give you this. They have a very great community. I think they have one of the biggest community in the crypto sphere, and I'll give you that. They grew so fast because of that. They had the highest growth in any cryptocurrency I've ever seen. I'll give you that. But I'll be honest. But I'll tell you, it's not a true cryptocurrency. It's not decentralized. There's a centralized entity. So that it all just makes me give it a zero.
Well,
You understand what I'm saying? Let me finish.
No problem.
I'm not shitting on your project. You have every right to do whatever you want to do. It's your money. Like I said, it's accountable. You're accountable for your own actions, and I wish you the best. But I'm just telling you from my own because I'm pure crypto. I'm pure. I always go back to the Bitcoin design principle because everything starts from Bitcoin. If anybody's shitting on Bitcoin, I just look at them. I choose not to have Bitcoin because of a lot of reasons. It's too heavy. It's old technology. It's a dummy. It's not a smart chain. You can't build upon it. You understand what I'm saying? Those are the reasons why I don't choose to go to something like Bitcoin. But if you're telling me you have Bitcoin, oh well, good. And I'll tell you good luck because I don't still see anything wrong with that. But SafeMoon, I was like, yeah, bro, let's go back to the drawing board. And this is the reason why it has a centralized entity. It has a CEO.